Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Elisa Sklar, and I am delighted to have you here with us today. We are going to be looking at 5 ways to make your economic development website sticky. I'm really excited to get into some of this content with you. So we're going to be looking at some practical strategies to make your economic development website sticky, but a couple things that I like to just say at the beginning to give you a sense of some of the things that we're going to be looking at. We're going to be talking about broadly understanding who you're trying to reach and having some a checklist, if you will, of ways in which you can proceed to make sure that you think about that strategically, how you're getting their attention, what it is that you want them to know. You might think you know what you want them to know, but we need to think about that in terms of the website and getting them on there, and then of course keeping them on there as long as is necessary, putting them on a journey through, hopefully, to action of some kind, contacting you, filling out a form, picking up the phone, sending an email, whatever that actually is. Where are you trying to reach them? So what are the different corners of the internet, if you will, that you are using to get the information out to them? And then finally, how do you tell if it's working? You know, what are some of the strategies around tracking and therefore tweaking and making changes as necessary? Because of course, that's always important. A little bit about who we are and why I'm here with you today. I am the VP of Marketing at GIS Planning. GIS Planning is the world's leading online site selection data tool provider. Things like Zoom Prospector, Zoom Tour, intelligence components. So our software lives on your website, and it's designed to help new, expanding, and relocating businesses find the best success in your region by finding the best locations, but also about sourcing data, researching, analyzing, and sharing that. But broadly, we've been in this field for about 23 years, and as Vice President of Marketing, part of my job is to work individually with all of our clients to ensure that they're doing the best possible job to get maximum value out of our tools. So along the way, we've come up with a lot of best practices, and I'm really excited to share that with you here today. Now, let's talk about the idea of sticky, why sticky is so key for websites. Very often the prevailing attitude can be something like, well, we've got a website and we've flicked the on switch and it lives there. But of course, websites and web tools, even the most sophisticated ones, are not magic bullets. We have to, like any tool, it relies on the hands of the person using it and the way in which those things are deployed. To make things sticky on websites, we want to, first of all, entice web visitors, draw them in, give them content that is really interesting or compelling, and so promote that in different ways to get them there. Once they come there, of course, we want to deliver on that content. It's not enough to just promise it, but you have to deliver it. And once they're there, you also want them to stay and learn. So they need to, you got them there by waving a flag. They get there with expectations. If those expectations are not borne out, they're going to leave right away. So that's when you get those really high bounce rates. That means that the content that they find is not what they're expecting or not what they're hoping for. So we want them to stay and learn. And then of course we want them to return as much as possible. So what are the things that we can do to keep them on the website, getting the content, finding the answers they need, and then to come back, to see it as a resource, as a place they want to go back to. And then of course, finally, to convert those leads into successes. So it's all about that moving towards action and making sure that we can help them along their journey to ultimately find the solutions they're looking for, and of course to enhance our success rate as regions, as economic development regions, in both attracting new investment, in supporting our existing businesses, and giving the data to our stakeholders or the organizations within our region that might be also ambassadors for the region. Success looks like different things for different people, different personas, if you will, but to use the language I'm going to continue with here. And so that really is what sticky is all about, and that's what I'm going to explore with you here today. So let's talk about this idea of personas. Who needs to know what? And this is an interesting question because, again, a lot of the times when I'm working with our clients, it seems that they have an idea of who they're trying to reach, that they're already clear on the audiences. We want to reach site selectors, okay. We want to reach businesses making location sessions, great. We want to reach investors. We want to reach existing businesses. We want to reach third parties that assist investors. We often forget about these folks, but the law firms, the accounting firms, sometimes they're the first to know about a business making a location decision in your region or doing that investigation. So we want those folks to know about your organization and to know about the data, the information, and the services you can provide. So that's someone we want to be reaching as well. We want to, if you're a region, a county, a state, a province, a country, you want to be able to reach the regional organizations within your territory. I was just talking with a client of ours who's a large county in Georgia, and they have 7 municipalities within the county. So they need, each one of those municipalities has its own economic development office or officer. Sometimes it's just one person. You need all of those regional players to know about what is on your website, especially the interactive data tools that you might be able to offer them. It can save so much time. It helps them prepare business cases. It helps them get answers to the people who come to them researching your region, whether that is a new prospective business or whether it's an existing business who just needs some help with data in order to maybe expand or just to be successful. We want to reach elected officials. Remember those folks? We want to reach them too. Very often economic developers can work in a bit of a silo, and that's really unfortunate because the data in your tools and the data on your website and the services you offer are so powerful and so important. We need to make sure that they know about the work you're doing, that they appreciate it, that they take advantage of it in different ways. And then, of course, other community stakeholders. I was working with one client in California who was doing a presentation to all of the healthcare and hospital administrators within her region. And there was so much data in their GIS tool that I was able to help her find for her presentation, ways to map demographics, ways to show all kinds, map out all of the healthcare businesses, the hospitals, the infrastructure, the vision clinics, the dental offices, all of those things are on there. And so those community stakeholders, of course, they're ambassadors as well, but to be able to help them understand the data is there. School administrators, school board administrators, I mean, each time a new business comes in, a new workforce is attracted, that generates new students that'll be sitting at desks in their school board. So thinking broadly, but those different audiences all have very different information requirements. They have different questions. So the next thing we want to think about is for each one of the ones that are important to you to map out their journeys, their ideal journeys across your website. What are the questions you expect they will have? What is the information they will need? What are the answers that you currently have in terms of content on your website? And then how can we make sure that they can find it? I know that seems like such an obvious question, but being found is so important. So let's think for a second about that content. Each one of the target audiences we were just talking about, the ones that are important for you, and you can start with the top 3 here. Think about what content is going to drive them to your website. How will they find you? And what questions do they have? What keywords will resonate? Maybe it's on a LinkedIn post, maybe it's in an email newsletter, maybe it's in a Google ad that you're posting, maybe it's a post in a group of some kind. You have to think about crafting that in a way that it actually resonates for them. Then you want to think about what content will encourage them to see more on your website once you're there. Great, congratulations, we got them to the website. That's awesome. Now, how do we get them to stay a little bit longer, to continue looking for answers to questions they might have, to maybe move them along their path so that they contact you or reach out to you? And you need to situate that content in ways that ensures they see it. Again, this may seem obvious to you, but I spend time on hundreds of economic development websites, and so many of them feel like scavenger hunts. So we really want to have multiple paths to the same content. And those paths may be different for your different personas. They may have different words, they may have different images. There may be different ways to do that. But for each one of those primary target audiences, the secondary ones too, you want to make sure there are multiple paths for them. That means, what's a path? A path is like a link, a hyperlink. It can be a hyperlink in text. It can be a headline. It can be a button. Click here to learn more. Discover our property tool. Here's our business intelligence. Learn more about this target industry sector. It could be images. It could be video. It could be a variety of different kinds of things. You want to make sure for each one of your important target audiences that there are multiple ways for them to find that. And then what content will get them to come back again? What content will encourage them to return? We don't always think about that. They've come, that's amazing, but how do we make sure that they come back over and over again? Well, the two main ways to do that is to have something interactive with great data that lets them do their research, because they come with their own questions and you don't always know what their answers are. And very often they come without you knowing that they're there. They come to your website before they call you or fill out your form or send an email. And if you don't have this content for them, you might be losing leads without even knowing it. If you've got like Lead Gen ID, our lead forensics tool, for example, that'll let you know what companies are on your website, but very often we don't see that. So interactive tools, certainly one of them, and also regularly updated content. So producing blogs or white papers or reports or video that is new and that brings them back to the website. Also, that's very, very powerful. So we've mapped out that journey by hoping for each one of those different personas that you understand maybe how they'll get to your website, not always on your homepage, and what you want them to see along the way, and ultimately, where do you want them to end up? Usually it's on a Contact Us page, but it might just be on your data tool. That's something else, because if you're using Lead Gen ID, you know that company's there and they'll reach out to you. There's built-in forms and contact information in there. So that's really important. Then we want to think about strategy. So what are the targeted journeys? And I've just picked 4 here. These are 4 very typical ones that we see with many of our clients. So obviously, if you're trying to reach site selectors, you want to have a robust interactive data tool, some of the things they're looking for, searchable property database. You want to have clear, compelling, well-written information about your value proposition, your, live, work, play. The ability to share and export data and properties is so critical, and that has to be branded. It has to have your logo on it. These site selectors get so many reports from so many different places. If they end up with a report that's branded with a third-party data provider, they might not trace that back to you so easily. Businesses or investors, not always site selectors, so they might be doing their own research. The shoe store a couple counties over that wants to open a branch, whatever those things are, they might be doing it on their own. Often they're doing it off hours because they're busy during business hours, so they can't reach your office. They're looking for user-friendly interactive data tools. Again, the searchable property database. They love case studies, success stories, shortcuts to industry clusters. They want to be able to map out their competitors and their suppliers. They want supply chain data, consumer spending, workforce data. They want to know what services you offer. How do they book a fam tour, for example? Your existing businesses, again, might be doing this off business hours, but they're looking for all kinds of business intelligence, especially the small and medium-sized businesses that cannot afford to hire consultants or pay for data. If you can offer that, it's really very, very powerful for them. So the market intelligence, people we often think of something like Zoom Prospector as a property database, but there's powerful business industry information. All of that is mapped. It's updated daily, so we know that it's really great quality data. So all this other information in here that they might be looking for. And your other community stakeholders, your elected officials, your hospital administrators, your law firms, all sorts of people. These are ambassadors for your region. We want to make sure that they can find information, data about the community. They want to be able to share and export. That's so critical for all of your personas. Local stories, case studies, profiles of business owners. Again, there's just lots of different things. So a lot of it is the same content, but we're leveraging it in different ways and thinking about the journey for all of these folks. These are the 4 examples I've pulled out here to help them find that. Okay, this brings us back to one of my prevailing messages here, which is many paths, one goal. Just having one single link on your website that says property locator or site selection. These are I'm just using these examples because this is what I see all the time. Ensuring your target audiences find the right content is so important. You want to have that many paths. They might not come in on your homepage. Are they going to be able to find what they're looking for? One of the things I often do for our clients is blind testing of their website. So give me a task. Can I find how to do this? Can I find how to do that? And very often it really feels like a scavenger hunt. So we really want to help them do that. We really want to make sure that that is very crystal clear. So many paths. Let's start with the idea of, can target personas find you? What are the keywords that you're using for your organization, for your region, for your target sectors, for your value proposition? What images are you using? Do you have alt text for all of your images? Is that alt text, are you thinking through the keywords that's on there? Because that's a way people will find you. Do you have the meta descriptions for each of your website pages thought through carefully? Are you strategically using the headers and footers on your website page? Those headers and footers are really valuable because they appear on every page in your website. So that means that each one of them counts again as additional information. Do you have backlinks from other stakeholders? If you're a regional organization, for example, you want every municipality in your region to have a link back to your website, and ideally a link back to your interactive data tool if you're trying to attract investment. Did you get any media coverage? That's fantastic. Congratulations. Go back and check their online story and make sure that they have a link back to your website in the online story. That's going to live on the internet forever. Those backlinks are gold. We don't want to take the chance of losing them. Is there a Wikipedia entry for your city, your region? Is there an economic development entry in that Wikipedia entry? Anyone can edit Wiki. Don't be blatantly self-promotional. We're not going to say we're the best county ever because someone might edit that, but put in the keywords and bullet points for your target sectors, your anchor companies, your value proposition. Put links back to your website, links back to your data tools. Think about your social posts, your sponsored content, your Google AdWords, blog posts, podcasts, video channels, whatever those things look out. We want to make sure people can find you. And the reason I like things like blog posts or white papers, for example, is that each one of those posts is another index page for Google with juicy keywords in it that helps people find you. Same with your social posts. All those things count. That's not a separate index page, of course, but those things are all signposts, if you will, on the journey that helps people find your economic development organization. Now, here's some lovely examples that I've got from from clients. This is from the Michigan State site. One of the things that they did was they went into their Zoom Prospector tool, and they said, these are 4 important assets for properties within the state of Michigan. Every one of those map sites buttons will lead back to a filtered search in Zoom Prospector. The filter is set up so it's always an up-to-date list. But these are juicy keywords. These are important property assets for them. This is what they have learned their personas might be looking for. So instead of just having a single link back to a property locator, they've created these 4 separate paths, if you will, that brings you back into it. Here is, I'll just show you what that looks like. We can move back over to there. This is another one from Choctaw Nation. They have got a separate index page for each of their 6 target sectors. They have one page, in this case, I'm showing an example, for their transportation logistics. And what they did was they used our business intelligence component to load automatically to show off how those businesses are disseminated across their territory. They've done this for each one of those 6 target sector pages. This is visual storytelling. This immediately conveys information far better than any text description ever will. Brilliant, I love that. Another great example, this is from Four Corners, New Mexico. They did an excellent job on their Zoom Prospector. They used the Compare Communities tab, and they said, look, people are always comparing us with these other towns. We know that's what's happening. So they built the report showing those towns. It's still fully interactive. They went over to their share button, grabbed the hyperlink, and put this on here as a link on their website. Click here for a pre-built report comparing Farmington, New Mexico to these other communities. That is very clever marketing, and that is taking advantage of content, so much content within these tools, instead of just having a single link to sites and buildings, for example. So that's what I mean by many paths to one strategy. Now, link language, this is a really important one as well. So we've got 3 examples of personas here. Site selectors are going to have different language that resonates for them than your business community that maybe is looking for business data. Other community stakeholders will use different language. So if you put something like a property locator or sites and buildings database, for example, that's very effective for site selectors. But a business owner looking on consumer spending data, they're never going to click on something called property locator. They're not looking for a property right now. And that's such a shame, because think of all that fantastic, juicy data in there that they will never know exists. So you can have a separate link to the business report within that tool that uses language that's going to resonate for these folks. Workforce and business data resource. And your other community stakeholders, again, they're looking for a community data mapping tool, location data analysis, community data resource, open data tool. So all these paths can link to different reports within the same tool, but they will resonate differently. And I've got some suggestions here for different places you might want to put those links. So again, many paths, same destination. Now let's talk about sourcing some great content. How do we actually make your website sticky? What are some of the things that we can put on it that ensure that in fact we are getting them to stay in the place that we want them to go? So first of all, you want to deliver content that they need and that they want. For each one of the personas that you identify that your organization serves, think about the questions they might have, the different content they're going to want to see. And remember that they don't just come in from the homepage. The homepage is sounds like the front door, but lots of people come in from the back door. They crawl in through the window in the living room. There's so many different ways to reach your website, especially there should be, because each one of those pages has got different words on it, different meta description. Make sure that when you are linking, it's to relevant content for that persona's journey. And on that page, there should be other content that might be of interest to them. We keep them there. We give them that path. We don't make them do a scavenger hunt. Avoid the tendency to one and done. By that, I mean, don't just check off, yep, we got a Zoom prospector tool. Yep, we've got a demographics report. Yes, we've got information about anchor companies. You want to think creatively about any content that you have and leverage it in different ways for different personas, as many different paths as possible. So that's my time saver tip, is thinking about using the same content. If you take the time to write a white paper, if you've got a blog post, if you produce a video, use that content with different phrasing, different keywords in different ways across your website, across your social channels that will appeal to different personas that you're trying to target. Okay, next. We want to think about making the most of your interactive tools. Your interactive tools are website gold. And there's a number of reasons for that. First of all, ideally, you should be able to link to different reports within it with different language based on persona interests. I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record. I'm sorry, but that different language is so key here. There should be so many different reports within your tool. You want to link to them separately. There's inexhaustible content, right? There's tens of thousands of data variables. They can be mapped and heat mapped. There's infographics, there's charts. You can put map layers on there. So there's so much you can use in there. The other reason is that visitors like interactive tools because they can find answers to their own specific questions, and they can keep coming back again to research and analyze. And even better, ideally, they should be able to share that content with hyperlinks that bring others back to your website. So any interactive tools absolutely must have, I call this the superpower, the marketing superpower for your GIS data tool. You want that share link over there. It's going to bring people back exactly to that analysis. So important. You can see what that looks like. And you'll find that on every report, every property listing in Zoom Prospector. So really critical. Now within the report, this case, we went over to the community data tab. So the properties are not showing here. This is just to show community data for Pasadena and Texas. Every one of these reports is additional data. You can link to the talent report. You can link to demographics, consumer expenditures. If you click on any one of these tabs, it'll open that report. You can add map layers, as you see I've done over here, and then you click on that superpower share button. Now you've got different content, different paths that different stakeholders will appreciate back to different parts of those tools. That is marketing gold. That's what you really want to see. Now, great, we've got them on your website. Congratulations, you've got them there. think about placing adjacent content of interest. Many links to the same content in different places, using different targeted language for those links. And another example, just showing you some different examples here. So here on the, let's see, which one is, this is Explore New York State. We've got community infographic, dynamic mapping. You can go to different metro areas. Once you're in the tool, we want to make sure that they can go and see different things. So here is an example from our Los Angeles County website. You could be researching businesses, but at the same time, there are links that will bring you to these other tools. And you could see the headers on the top. People read from left to right in English, so their eyes are always going to go up here, and then they're going to go down this left column. We see that in our heat maps. So we really want to make sure that that's visible to them. Another example of placing adjacent content from our own GIS planning blog page. There's so much juicy stuff here. People can, look at one blog post, then they go to another one. They can click on the categories that will bring up different blog posts that have those categories, popular posts on the side, the headers on the top. That's what we mean by adjacent content. And so things like CTA buttons, images, you can see on the GIS planning blog post, the green button at the top, I want a demo, that always is the kind of call to action, the CTA buttons that we want on there, and regularly updated content. Now, sourcing this, how to continuously promote new content when you're already busy. I know many of our clients are one-person shops. You may not have any marketing background, but suddenly you are in charge of marketing on top of everything else, your chief cook and bottle washer. That's a lot to do. So we recognize that you're not always going to be able to write. Content marketing is very time-consuming to produce. You have to take advantage of what you got. So the nice thing about the interactive data tools is that it lets you go in and do that. And I think I've got some great examples here. Focus Central PA, beautiful map here, link over to their Zoom Prospector tools. Great post. Another one here, the City of Grapevine have done a great job. They used our industry and business tool, and they did an industry cluster showing their aerospace industry. The link will take you right there. Another great example from Reach Central Coast in California. They're promoting a new feature that we just added, which is the new walk, drive, truck time by minutes, by location, by date, by time of day, and they're using that to promote with their tool. And great, there's the link that's going to bring people in there. So that really is very effective. Another excellent example here is this Edmonton Global up in Canada. They're using, this is a great did you know post. They've done a heat map of all the food purchased from restaurants in the city of Edmonton. Beautiful map. Click on that superpower share button and grab the link. That is a beautiful post that is something they're able to promote online. So lots of really great stuff. I realize we are near the end here. I've only got a couple minutes left. And if you have to leave, don't worry, I'm gonna send you the video. Telling the stories of your location, to make sure that we're doing that storytelling and to think of it in terms of stories. Stories resonate for people. Our brains are hardwired to listen to stories, to pay attention, and then to remember them afterwards. So buildings, that's over in Georgia. North Florida also telling the story of their location, using their tool, always with links. We want to see those links back to those things. Is so important. Abbotsford up in British Columbia. And here we see at Waycross Ware, another example of them using the link, but also telling that story to ensure that people are able to find them and that they understand the information they'll be able to find when they get there. Now, if you have an e-newsletter or you're doing email marketing, these links are a fantastic way to bring people back to your website, to tell the story. They're visual. I love these beautiful visuals here. And then have links back that will we're drawing people in with content. Are they going to find what they're looking for, what they expected to see when they were there? So that is really always important. We see some examples from Hoosier and over here from Waco in Texas again. And then finally, we've got our virtual tours. This is compelling content that anyone can create. With Zoom Tour, which is a new product we debuted this year, you can create as many tours as you want. You do not need to have any marketing or graphic design background. It's an example from NISA in South Carolina. There's different stops along the tour. There's images, there's video, there's sound, there's hyperlinks, there's links back to their data tools. It's just a beautiful way to tell that story. This is at Abbotsford in British Columbia. They are attracting film and video production, but they've got kind of a walk up their Main Street here. This is a Google Maps street view. You can navigate from here and get information along the way. So if you're interested in filming or videoing in Canada, you can do that. Yuma, Arizona did a great job here profiling a target industry sector. This is a tour that profiles all the companies in their food processing sector. Each stop along the way shows you a different anchor company, links to their website, Google Street View, images, information, hyperlinks, and then of course information that leads you back to Yuma. So if you are interested in the region, you can speak to their economic development organization. Montgomery County, these guys are linking back to the Jobs Ohio data tool within their Zoom tour. Again, this is so easy to build. You do not need to be a graphic designer. There's a wizard that walks you through this. You can have as many tours as you want, and each one of those tours can have as many stops as you want. The last thing I would like to say here is that as we are trying to make our website sticky, we need to be continuously tracking results. We need to go back and look at the traffic sources. How did people get to our website? How many are new versus returning visitors? We could find this information on Google Analytics, on Lead Gen ID, which is something we offer with all of our software. It allows you to see what companies are on your website and how they got there, how much time they spent there. We could see the average time on the site. Were they able to find other information when they were there? What is their bounce rate? We want to lower that bounce rate. A low bounce rate means that there's other content, that they were following a path and a journey along the way. And you can measure conversion rates along the way. Our Zoom Prospector Analytics give you specifically economic development data, how many businesses, how many business reports were downloaded, demographic reports, what buildings were viewed, what keywords were used in searches, what property assets were used, what communities were most often searched. And then you can tweak your marketing accordingly. You're now getting data that helps you measure all of this. So that brings me to the questions part of this. I do see a couple questions on here. Oh, excellent. Okay, it looks like someone was having issues with sound. I know we're a little over time here. I apologize for that. I had more content than I realized that I wanted to share with you today. If you do have any questions, I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes and answer them for you. If you are here and you want to do that, that's easy for me to do that now. You can always reach out to me directly at asklar@gisplanning.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn or come to gisplanning.com. We've got lots of other great content and resources. We are here to help. If you are looking for ways to make the most of any of the tools that you've got, I can do one-on-one consult with you to help you do that. That's part of my job. We want you to succeed. I really, those are the things that are important to us. I do have one question about the data on our tools. Where does our data come from? So if you're in the US, we use Applied Geographic Solution, which goes to the original data sources that a lot of other companies are using. So we're going back to the origins and collecting the same data that you'll find in Esri and other kinds of companies as well. We have EMSI data. We can integrate your Esri map layers, your jobs EQ data, your FDI markets data. If you have local data, we can map that. And of course, we can, as I said, connect to your Esri server to map your data layers there as well. For business data, we use Data Axle, formerly Infogroup USA. Now, if you're in Canada, we're using Environics Analytics, which uses census data and other public and private sources, as well as Data Axle for mapping businesses. If you are elsewhere in the world, we will find the data that works for you. We have clients in Switzerland and Germany and Mexico and Latvia and Ukraine and Finland, the UK, France, Spain. We are in 14 different countries, and we will find the data, the best data we can find for your country. Italy is another one that we are happy to be in. I thank you very much for your time today, for your interest. Thank you for the work that you're doing for your communities, and I look forward to connecting with you outside of this webinar. And I look forward to answering any questions you might have. You will hear from me by tomorrow with a link to the video recording and the slide deck. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.